So what exactly are Pokemon natures? That's what I'm here to tell you guys today. Hey guys, what's going on? Sir Squire here, and welcome to my Pokemon Sun and Moon competitive battling tutorial video series. Again, I just want to specify for those of you that might just be finding this series new, like this might be the first episode you're seeing of it. This is meant to be a forum for competitive battling, some place where someone who might just be getting back into competitive or wants to learn how to play competitive can learn different aspects of the metagames, various different parts of it, very specific parts of it right here with us. So if you have any questions, or if you're a competitive vet and you want to help rephrase something or answer some questions in the comment section, feel free to do so. You're more than welcome to help chime in, add something to this, or help contribute by asking or answering any questions. Feel free. But today we're talking about natures. What are natures? You might notice when you pick up your Pokemon, any Pokemon, no matter what it is, as long as it is after Ruby and Sapphire that came out in 2003, any Pokemon has a nature. You will see the nature as something like relaxed, calm, bold, adamant, modest, jolly, timid. There's a ton of different natures. I'm sure there's an exact number, but the exact number doesn't matter. What is important is you will notice, especially if you look on Sun and Moon, you will notice that for the nature, one of these stats will be highlighted in red. That specifies a stat that is boosted. And one stat will be highlighted as blue. That is a stat that is decreased. What you want to do is understand that there are certain Pokemon that need certain stats boosted to be competitively viable. Well, how do you understand what Pokemon need their stats boosted or devalued in certain ways? Well, the first thing you need to understand is there are neutral natures. There are natures that don't boost or diminish anything, and those are natures that you do not want. Some of them are better than inhibitive natures, where they take away from your good stats, sure, but for a competitive standpoint, you want a very specific nature. Anything that's close enough is not good enough. You want the perfect nature for your Pokemon. I will give you an example. You want a Jolteon, right? You pick a Jolteon up and you're like, I want to use this Jolteon right here. Well, Jolteon is very fast and hits very hard with special attacks. And the way that you know this is you could see its base stats. Base stats are generic values that every Pokemon has in each main stat. The stats are HP, attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed. Those are the main stats. Those are the stats that when you look up at summary, you see like those numbers next to that you might not understand what they mean. That's what it means. Those are the base stats. And some Pokemon, like Mew, have a base stat of 100 in everything, which is above average, essentially. And there's some Pokemon that have a base speed of 125 that makes them really fast. There are some Pokemon that have a base speed of 50 that makes them very slow. Like, you can check all this out. If you're curious to know what your favorite Pokemon's base stats are, you can check them out on Smogon.com, and you can just search your Pokemon. If you literally just Google search your Pokemon and find the link that goes to Smogon.com, you will find the whole base stat spread, and you will see exactly what stats are good, what stats are bad. The way that Pokemon works competitively is you always want a nature that boosts your good stats and diminishes your bad ones. Someone that might not be as into Pokemon might think, oh, but you want a stat that boosts your bad stats because you want a more well-rounded Pokemon. That is not necessarily true in Pokemon, because in Pokemon you have a team of 6, right? So what you want in reality, you want to have your Pokemon play its best role. So you might say Jolteon is very fast and hits very special attack based. Okay. What is it missing? Well, it's missing attack. It doesn't have attack, and it doesn't have any defenses. So that means that when you use a team with Jolteon on it, you're going to need other Pokemon that have very good defense. You're going to need other Pokemon that have very good special defense, and you're going to have other Pokemon that have very good attack. And that's how you cover your bases. You don't cover your bases in one Pokemon. It's a team. So you build the team with other mons that have base stats in that area. Now, if you're talking about an early metagame like Sun and Moon is only out for a week, The Smogon metagame for Sun and Moon isn't that big yet, so you don't really know what Pokemon you're working with. It's still a very young time. But as time goes on, there will be metagames and split, and Jolteon will be in its own tier. Obviously, I'm using Jolteon as a rough example here, but just so you guys understand. Like, Jolteon can be used in a lot of different tiers, but... and obviously for this, I'm talking about Smogon, not VGC. We will cover VGC in a later part of the series, just so you guys know. But right now, I'm just using Smogon as the example for Jolteon in this base stat distribution scenario here. So that's basically what you want to look for, though, when you see Jolteon. I don't want to get on too much of a tangent here about this, but Jolteon's best stats are special attack and speed. So you want either a timid or a modest nature. A modest nature is a nature that diminishes attack and raises your special attack. Or a timid nature is one that diminishes your attack and raises your speed. It doesn't touch your defenses, but it lowers your attack, which you're never going to use anyway. The better nature is timid because... the reality is speed wins in competitive Pokemon. At the end of the day, it's all about speed control, and it's all about speed control. two things, speed control and speed control. So you definitely want things that outspeed. That's why if you have a fast Pokemon like Jolteon, you definitely want to run it to be as fast as possible. You want to run it to hit as hard as possible and as fast as possible too. So I would say timid would be the best, but that's also a matter of opinion and a matter of what kind of team you're running. It also matters who you're facing, and that's something else that's really important that we will talk about soon. But for the matter of natures, I would suggest the way you pick your nature for your Pokemon, if you're going to start building a competitive team, is look up its base stats. That's simple. Look up the base stats for your Pokemon. Notice, Jolteon has very low Jolteon has very low attack. Jolteon has very low defense. He's very high special attack and very high speed. So we know what stats we need to boost, and we know what stats we need to diminish. So any variation of that, a hasty nature, which diminishes defense and raises speed, is great. Timid nature, which diminishes attack and raises speed, is great. Those are things that you want to look into. And then once you get a Pokemon with a good nature, you might think, oh, well, how do I get one that's plain? Because one of the things you need to do, if you want to create a competitive Jolteon, you can't just have a Jolteon that you had already and just throw it into competitive because it's timid, because that's just one factor. The next thing you need to do is Eevee Train. How do you Eevee Train? Well, there's a few different ways to do it, but we'll cover that next time.